Hello YouTube, Millennium X17. As you can see, unfortunately, I am now back home in upstate New York. That kind of sucks. The Vegas trip is in fact over. I'm uploading all the footage right now. I'm actually doing it at a very fast rate as to what I normally upload. But either which way, this is my thoughts video on one of the things we did while we were there. One of the big ticket items was exotics racing. They are up at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and just a couple of thoughts and observations from what we saw there, what we did, and so they've got their own private road course on the grounds of the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. They were actually able to partner with the owners of the facility and get their own, because before then they had to share track time with the infield road course and the outfield road course with the actual speedway, with like 2 or 3 other outfits that do similar things there. So to have their own road course allows them now to do 7 days a week, which I didn't even know this when I made the reservations way back in, I think it was October, but like a week before we came, they finally went to 7 days a week, which Sunday, the day we went, 2 weeks before we went, didn't even exist. So it's actually pretty awesome now that they're doing 7 days a week. They're doing a lot of business there. It's a pretty awesome road course itself. It's not super long. It doesn't look technical. When you drive it, though, it really is. They did a really good job with the road course itself. I like it. One of the concerns I had going in there was I wasn't sure how visible the cones were. When I say this, it's kind of like saying, I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night, but when I play video games, the tracks that always give me problems on the video games are the ones where there are, either sand off track or there's just no walls, to corral you in. Like, I can never quite spot the turn ahead of time on those types of courses. Well, this course is one of those types. I don't know if it's asphalt in some areas, grass in other areas, but there is no, there's no walls there. And obviously with inexperienced drivers on such performance vehicles, they're going to want to, not have walls for people to hit. Because there was a couple of points in time where myself and my father both almost, did go off the course, because, actually doing it is completely different than the video games. There's no comparison whatsoever. It's completely different. Furthermore, there's also the G-forces involved, and a lot of the other, sights and sounds and what have you is completely different. But the course itself is very technical, even though at first glance it would look like the layout is not that complicated. It doesn't need to be. It is very challenging. It is a fun road course. It works very nicely for what they need to. So we were there on Sunday. It was March 24th, 2013. I initially only was going to be driving the Audi R8, and my father was going to be driving and he in fact only drove the Gallardo, or I always call it the Gallardo, even though that's, I'm guessing wrong. Probably most likely is. I think a lot of people there say it was Gallardo. It's the Lamborghini LP 550. He got the white one, even though you really want the blue one, but the Audi's the only one they have there is silver. But then I later upgraded to also have the Porsche Cayman R and the Corvette ride-along package, which is pretty awesome. When we first got there, we went out to the tent area where all the cars are parked. They allow you to actually, look at the cars and open the doors and sit in them, as long as they're not running or, being used by an instructor or a student, obviously. Pretty awesome stuff. They have a lot of cars there, a big selection, a lot of different kind of cars there. They're always constantly looking for suggestions for newer cars, the different types of cars, I guess is the right word to say. I like the selection. It's really awesome stuff, and just being there and actually seeing these cars in person is very awesome. So even if only certain people out of your group want to go there, but then there's others that don't, aren't going to drive or don't want to drive, they can still go out to the tent area and actually see the cars and sit in them. It's definitely worthwhile to see them there. It's definitely really special. How often, it's like what the guy said during the actual classroom session. He said, how often do you see the car, drive up to a light there, on obviously Las Vegas, so it's the Strip, and then, you might see it pass you and that's it. Well, now you actually get to experience those cars, and I thought it's a really special thing. It's pretty awesome. So you know, actually seeing them, like I said, being there, it was really awesome. But then the actual driving itself, leading up to actually driving, they put you in, after a brief classroom session where they explain the course, they explain this and that, they then bring you out, and then they put you in it was a Cayenne, I think it was a Cayenne, the Porsche SUV, and they actually bring you out 3 at a time, and they drive the course with you. And it was at this point in time that I when you're actually there, you know, I don't know how, the video is really not, it doesn't show it that well, but the cones for when you're supposed to start braking and turn in and all that are very visible. That was one of my big, like I said, one of my big concerns. It's not that big of a deal. You can see them, which is good, because it's you don't want to have any situations happen. But you bring you out, do about a lap or two in the Cayenne to actually show you the course, so that there's nothing, you know, alien or new, or you didn't know something or expect something. Then you go onto a waiting list. Now, if, like, for example, I guess there was somebody or 1 or 2 people ahead of me for the R8, so I had to wait a little while to get into the R8, but, you know, you're in a waiting list rotation, and if you have multiple cars, I'm guessing that they, whatever first car is available, you go out on. So, the thing is, you go into the car, there's an instructor for every car, which I think that is awesome. They're obviously not going to let you go out there by yourself, obviously, but the more specific thing is that each car that's the car that instructor, you know, gives lessons on while you're driving it, which is important, so that they know the specifics of each car. Now, my father says the Gallardo was nice, obviously very fast car, 550 horsepower. It's definitely nothing to sneeze at there. Rear-wheel drive, midship engine. He said the steering on that, he said, was nice. He said it handled great. He took a couple laps to really get going with him under his footage. He took him about 7 or so laps to actually get comfortable with it. And that's the thing that I can say right now, is when I went out to the R8, I was freaking nervous as hell. You know, I think my father said it himself. He didn't say it on the video here, but back in my mind, I'm thinking it's a $170,000 car. I don't want to screw up. So it's a different seating arrangement than what I'm used to. You know, these are actual performance cars, and when you put your foot into it, you know it. They all have the paddle shifters retrofitted, which are very easy to get used to. I did not find them awkward, though. If you reach too far back behind the steering wheel, you can actually actuate, like, the blinkers or the windshield wipers. So you know, be a little careful of that. But they're right there. They're not. You don't have to reach for them. Everything's with it. It's really nice setup. And like I said, all the cars do have onboard video that you can get, which we did get, which I'm very glad we got. The actually doing it, and I already can assure you right now that my mine's been up since the R8 footage has been up since last night, and I can already guarantee you there's going to be some Mario Andretti out there that's going to put a comment on that video that tells me how bad I suck. And here's what I say in response to that. I think this might even be a response to that video. I don't know yet. I might forget completely. It's entirely possible. But here's the thing. You see that footage, and you can hear, like, I remember hearing the instructor doing, you know, tell me what to do, and I'm trying to do this, and but the thing of it is that the video does not do it justice. Not only do you not get, you know, the sounds, you can hear what the microphone's picked up, but actually doing it and being under those kinds of G-forces and acceleration and braking and actually coming into a corner with that much speed, it just is totally different, and it's really awkward. I had a tendency to stay on the brakes too long, too hard, which is what a couple of times especially when I started going wide in some of those corners, which I was wide in a lot of them in the R8. The Cayman R that I added after the fact, and I'm glad I did that, and I'll get to that one in a second, but I was better at, even though I was slower. But with the R8, the doing it and with all the cars, really, honestly, you're going into, and you remember it happening so much faster than what the video. Let me get to my point. The video is what happened at the speed it happened, but when you're doing it, when you're braking and shifting down and turning into a corner, and you're hearing the instruction, and it's all happening so much faster. You'll watch the video and you'll be like, I don't remember it happening that slowly. It's really that. It's just so much is happening so fast. You're so low to the ground. Everything is rushing by you as you're diving into a corner at 50, 60 miles an hour, or 40, 50, 60, depending on what car and how fast you're driving it. And it's everything's coming at you so quickly that it really is sensory overload. And it gives a real perspective as to what honest race car drivers actually experience. I mean, it's really something. It's a lot to take in a very short amount of time, which leads me to 2 points that if you're considering exotics racing, it is highly recommended. It is absolutely, positively, hands down, the highlight of our trip. It is, I'm not going to lie, it is not cheap, but it is worth it. I think it seriously is worth it. The two things that I will caveat this with is, and they recommend it there as well, with me. Like I said, when I went out to the R8, and my father said the same thing when he went out to his Lamborghini, we were so nervous, thinking these are $250,000 cars. You don't want to screw up. But the packages start at 5 laps. With myself specifically, it took me, I say, solid 6 laps just to start getting, with how fast everything is coming at you, just to get, when to start braking, when to turn in, when to get that rhythm of doing everything right with the instruction and just everything with G-forces and the sounds and the smells and everything coming at you at once. It took me at least 6 laps to get to a point where I was driving the car, I would say, well, even though it still was on the ugly side. Another thing, if there's, like I said, there's probably going to be some Mario Andretti that's going to, wannabe that's going to comment on the video. You know what I'll say to that is that if you think you can do better, go there. Get in the car and actually do it, and then post his response saying, you suck and I can do better and this is my proof. Do that either to the response to my R8 video or this video right here. I think most likely in the description all our ride videos and such will be in the description. And that's the other thing about this as well, is that not only do you need more than 5 laps, like I did 12 in the R8, and I'm glad I did that. I did 11 in the Cayman, and my father did 12 in the Lamborghini. It seriously took, it was like my father was 7, 8 laps just to get comfortable with it. Myself, it was about 6. I was definitely more aggressive. Everything's happening so fast. You have to have that buffer to get comfortable, because if you just do the 5 laps, then by the time you're finally loosening up, you're done. Which brings me to my other point: do more than one car. That is also highly recommended. I am thrilled that I also took. I decided they had a special on the Cayman, which was $50 off. The Cayman, I believe, is the cheapest car they had there. It's 5 laps for $200, and they had a $50 special, and they also had a buy one get 1 lap free. So I got 10 laps, which gave me 11. It's pretty awesome because I actually ended up liking the Cayman R better than the Audi R8. The R8, 550 horsepower, same motor as the Lamborghini Gallardo, is. Here's the thing, between the way that I was driving it incorrectly and the nature of an all-wheel drive car, I found the steering in the R8 to be a bear. You have to crank that thing in so hard that between how aggressive I was, the fact that I was braking through the apex, and the fact that between timing and braking and just the natural thing of it being a 500 horsepower in an all-wheel drive car, it made the steering so hard that by the time I got out of the R8 after 12 laps, my arms were sore. With the Cayman, the steering is very nice. It is, a lot of the instructors there tell me that the Cayman is, the thing with the Cayman R is that properly driven can be faster than any other car they have there, and that is partially due to the fact with its not so much a straightaway car, it is a cornering car. It is very forgiving in the corners. It allows you to get away with more, if you will, and it allows you to be more aggressive and when you put your throttle into it through the corner. And it's completely different than that of the Audi and than I would imagine of the Lamborghini. And that is the thing, doing multiple cars is highly recommended because the course does not, is what they explained, the course does not change the car you're in does, and that allows you to, now that you know the course and how fast everything's going to come at you. When I went out in the Cayman R, which I did after the Audi, I was able to, right off the bat, even though I had 11 laps, those first couple laps were really solid, and I had more time to get more comfortable with the Cayman. By my final laps in the Cayman, I was doing really better, and they actually felt faster, even though they were slower than that of my runs with the Audi. And the reason was that is because I was driving the car so much better. And it was like I said, it was well worth it. I absolutely loved like my father is ecstatic about being able to say that he's like he said, everyone he talks to now, he's to say, I drove a Lamborghini. I myself have driven an Audi R8 and a Porsche Cayman R. Not only have you driven those, but then it's on a closed road course with professional instruction, and that's where you get the most out of those cars. And that's why a lot of people, like, they have those, they get those cars and they crash them, and that's why, because when you're actually doing performance driving, a lot happens very quickly, and I think a lot of people just aren't ready for that. It's very expensive, I understand it, but I think it's totally worth it. It was the highlight of our trip, and I'm glad we went. I'm pretty sure we're going to be going back next year to Las Vegas to see the Monster Jam World Finals 15, and I don't know yet if we're going to be able to make it back to Exotics or not, but I can tell you this much: if there's only one big ticket item that we're going to do next year, it will most definitely be Exotics Racing, because now I'm feeling that doing 2 cars is great, but then when you do 3 or 4 or 5 cars for, I would say honestly, a minimum of 10 laps, then you can get the course. You can get it. It is you pick it up faster and you start doing better, and you'll have more fun. It is definitely well worth the experience. So those are my thoughts on Exotics Racing. I like it a lot. It was a lot of fun. So until next time, you guys have yourselves a good day.